cousin yet? What's that like?
I haven't been asked that yet. It's a question that's come up, multiple times throughout the years. Sioux Falls Live, the Argus Leader over in Sioux Falls, did an awesome article about it a few years ago before we played in the national championship. That was awesome. But it's a really cool experience. Jake and I have been really close, really growing up from the word go. He's a couple years older than me, so he was giving me nuggies and stuff. But I still always have this respect for him as a person, and always wanted to be like him. He was a couple years older than me in football, basketball, baseball, so kind of grew up watching him and wanting to be seeing how people looked at him and how great of a leader he was, how awesome of a person he is. So now to be able to know him as a coach for the last few years has been really cool.
Still any nookies, or is that over?
No, the nuggies stopped. Yep, the nuggies stopped, which I appreciate because that wouldn't be a good look to come to my office and do that to me. So,
Tell me about Jimmy Rogers. What's he like?
Jimmy is obviously everybody sees him as extremely intense, which he is. That's not a facade. That's who he is. But he cares deeply about the people that are with him. He cares about this program, and he treats his people right. He wants to say it as it is and all that. But at the end of the day, he's taking care of his coaches. He's taking care of his guys, and he's really good to work for. He cares about the schematics. He's extremely sharp. He cares about recruiting. He loves the Iowa kids. So kind of everything that you look for in a head coach, especially as a defensive coach, he is that.
Even for just a moment, have you ever seen his intensity drop?
Yeah, for sure. Part of this whole thing and why it's a good match for all of us is he has a wife, he has a young family. So watching him be a dad, him be a husband, him interact with all of our kids, he's not getting after him. He's just any other dad and husband. So to see multiple sides of him has been cool across the years because I played for him. So that's all I knew was his intensity until getting to know him as a coach.
What was that transition first like for you, going from player to now being one of his peers and working alongside him?
Yeah, kind of a long answer to that. I only played for a couple of years at South Dakota State before transitioning into a student coaching role, where he was the linebackers coach, and he was a big reason why I thought staying in being a student coach instead of trying to pursue football elsewhere was the right move, because I understood his mind for football and what I could learn from him and the other guys on staff, which are now South Dakota State guys, are kind of all over the place, which is cool for me to keep up with those guys. But the transition from being a student coach, even growing in our relationship in that point, to me leaving and trying to keep up with him as I tried to coach the linebackers somewhere else and get his thoughts and input on things, into coming back to South Dakota State in 2023, where he called me and he told me to talk to my wife about the decision. I'm like, we're good. So that whole thing, and then being able to see him as a head coach develop has been really cool as well.
It wasn't. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to ask what it's like having this entire staff almost all together defensively and adding Coach Watson to the mix, and what's that dynamic been like so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. We all have developed and grown into an expectation of what this needs to look like. We're a younger staff overall, so if you come to practice, you'll see us running around. You'll see us demonstrating physically, sweating in the drills and stuff, which I love. I love doing it. I'm in the back when the guys are out there playing and doing the technique and all that stuff. So, but we get after it. But we also we like to build relationships with guys. That part matters, and caring about them and having fun in the meetings. That whole expectation is already set. As far as understanding the defense and being on the same page, that's invaluable. Having a guy like Ross Watson come in and be able to drop little inputs on maybe stuff that he's done or things that he doesn't understand when we teach the defense, when we teach our position, it helps us all as coaches to kind of sharpen our saw a little bit. Just having one different voice in the room that's into the same goal as we are. So it's been a cool thing to become a new version of ourselves here at Iowa State.
Have you gotten injured or anything in a drill? Have you taken a hit from a guy?
100%. Yeah, no, I definitely have. There's been a couple times where I get, jaw checked or whatever, something like that, where I'm a little sore for a couple days. But that's part of it. Honestly, I there's a weird part of me that is like, man, this is awesome. Like I get to be in here like mixing up with the guys. I remember a couple times where I'm trying to, act like a blocker and I get, arm over into the jaw, and it is what it is. Like that's the fun part of being a coach, where you can be, in the mix. That's the best part, where you're not behind a desk. Being able to be out there with the guys, grinding, and at the end of the day, like having a lot of fun.
Who's the best football player? Like everyone on the defensive
Oh
staff
man,
right
that's
now.
tough. It's not me. It
Not
is not
like in
me.
their, not in their prime, but just
Not in their
as
prime
it's,
right
as
now?
it stands right now.
Well,
Is it you still?
Coach Banks is pretty athletic. Like he can move around with the best of them. I would probably go him. I think I'm a close second though. I'm the youngest guy, so I got a few years on everybody else where I'm a little bit more looser maybe. I don't know.
Does Jimmy ever mix it up in there in some of those drills and stuff?
He's the one that kind of taught me that was valuable to be able to get in there and demonstrate. As a player, I remember him demonstrating hat and hands on me, which is block the feet, where you strike with your hands at the same time. And I remember the punch that I felt in my chest, and that's when I understood like what you need to do with your hands. With him.
Wow.
Punching me physically in the chest with his hands, that showed me, okay, this is how you need to do it. He'll still get in there a little bit, probably not as much. He lets us do most of the coaching, but he'll still, you'll see him running around having his voice heard with players and stuff like that. So he does a good job.
Is everyone on the defensive staff hands-on? Like everyone gets involved, everyone gets in there?
Yeah, yep. I think if you guys come to practice, you'll see us all pretty hands-on with the drills that we're doing, with even coaching actively within plays. I think that's important to be able to, talk to a kid right away after a play happens in practice, to a point, right? You also want to let them go and make mistakes and not have us always in their ear. But I think one of the coolest parts of coaching is, the ability to, interact with players in between plays, get their thoughts right now, so you can truly coach like what they were thinking in the moment, whether it be good or bad. As much as I love like going to correct the guy, I love running up to him and congratulating him on doing something the right way, getting the right read, using the right technique, making a play. Right, that's a cool part of being a coach as well.
What's one word to describe your football philosophy?
One word, man. I would say, well, I'll go back to. Can I use two?
Just for you, Pete. Just for
Okay.
you.
Okay. Well, I've come to believe in tough love, and it's an acronym, so it's a lot of words. Maybe that's cheating, but like TUFF, love, all that stuff. Like all those words stand for something within our defense. Tough is something that Coach Rogers believes in and came up with at South Dakota State, along with the coaching staff there. Team, united, focus, finish. Those things matter to us. That will help us be the best football players possible. And then love is something that our staff, when we all came together, we kind of combined everything with wanting to develop leadership, ownership, value, and empowerment within our guys. Those things helping guys become better men. And tough love together, making us, as good of football players and well-rounded people as we can possibly be. I think all that stuff is really important, and I'm cheating. That was a lot of words. So I'm sorry. I didn't have any. That's the best I could think of with when I think about football and how to do it the right way. It's tough love. So.
What's the climb been like, winning a national championship at South Dakota State and doing everything that you guys accomplished, and now to Washington State to here?
Yeah, the climb for me it has been, it feels like a long time. It's been relatively fast, which has been. I'm extremely blessed to be with good people like this and Coach Rogers trusting and believing in me and people along the way. Dan Jackson and Brian Bergstrom and guys believing in me to, coach whatever position they're going to ask me to coach. But from being a student coach at South Dakota State to being a GA at NIU to the linebackers coach in Winona to South Dakota State, Washington State here, has been really cool. Something that, my wife and I step back and laugh at. But the only way I can describe it is a blessing because of all the guys we've gotten to coach in a short amount of time, because of the experiences that I've had, the different people that I've been able to recruit and get to know through going to high schools. It's been really a cool experience.